Hey there! The holidays are upon us, and that means only one thing, that it's time to gather our spaceships up and go out for those huge piles of ISK in what could possibly be the most lucrative event of the year. My name's Nth-Dimensional, and I am your exploration expert in New Eden, your resource for all the latest content out here in space. And today, we're going to be talking about the Winter Nexus 2021. It's quite a doozy. I hope you enjoy. Before we start, I do just want to say that if you do get value out of this video, consider hitting that subscribe button, typing out a little comment down below, hitting that like button, all those wonderful YouTube analytics things. It really does help the channel out, makes me feel warm and fuzzy, so if you get value, please do those things. We are going to be covering basically all there is to do in this Winter Nexus event, and if you are looking for something specific, just go down and look for the chapters, which will all be laid out for you. But what we're going to be covering is an overview of the actual event, and then the exploration sites, the combat sites, the advanced combat sites for dreads and capitals, the mining sites, and then lastly the abyssal proving grounds, which are being a little bit featured in this event. Alright, so let's talk about the overview of this event. First of all, it does go until the 4th of January, so you have a few weeks to get everything done and really enjoy the event, which is always nice, especially during these holiday times. There are ice storms, so that's kind of what's going on here. Volatile ice storms. They appear in low-sec, null-sec, and high-security space. No wormholes this time. Alright, so let's talk about how to actually find these storms. So you can go ahead and go into your EVE Online client, go to the map, which can be found in your left-hand bar, your Neocom menu-ish area, and you'll see your map here of New Eden. And you can go up to this top left cog, and you're going to look for Geography and Statistics tab, and then near the bottom of that is Metaliminal Storms. You go ahead and click that, and that will show you all of the metaliminal storms in the game. So these are the winter event Nexus sites or areas, and it is also the null-sec metaliminal storms as well. If you're not exactly sure what those are, they're basically like little storm effects that travel around through space. They do move a little bit each and every day. Regular storms are only in null security space. So if you are looking to maybe find a winter site that is in null space and don't want to get it confused with a regular storm, what you can go ahead and do is go to google.com and then you can search for EVE Online Weather Tracker. And there is the EVE Scout Rescue Storm Tracker right here. Big shout out, courtesy, thanks to EVE Scout for making such a great resource. And this will tell you exactly where the regular storms that you don't want to go to are located. So this metaliminal storm is going to be the regular one, and this one is going to be the winter event. Also, in these volatile ice storms, depending on how close you are to the center, that red dot there, you will get a bonus to your overheating effectiveness and your thermal resistance. So at the center, the bonuses are 25% less heat damage when you overheat your modules and 10% thermal resistance. And then when you are in the far away area, it is reduced down to 10 and 4 respectively. Also, when you are in the middle, it does get that bonus of the center node, so that 25 and 10. There are daily rewards, as you can see here. You get about a total of 510,000 skill points for if you are an Omega account. You get some boosters, which we'll go over specifically what those do in a little bit. You get a frigate aura skins for alphas, and you also get the stealth bomber aura skins for Omega accounts. So all in all, I think pretty good daily rewards. The skins I do really like. Boosters are pretty good, and you know, who doesn't love a little bit of Christmas skill points? After that, let's go ahead and take a look at the event tracker. There are some filaments here, however there are mostly awesome aura skins. You can do combat sites, mining sites, exploration sites or even chuck snowballs to get your points. And from what I can tell, as long as you are actually actively engaging into the event, you should really have no problems completing it there. And speaking of completing it, you do get a good selection of amazing Aurora skins here, including one of my favorite skins in the entire game, the Stratios Aurora Universalis skin. Also, another thing to note is that you can't get stuck in your progression like you could last year. Last year, there was basically when you completed an event, it randomly gave you the next one to complete. So if you were doing all exploration, you might get in a situation where it gave you all combats and you would be forced to change up what you were doing in order to continue further. As for the loot, let's talk about that. So CCP says, and I quote, rewards that can be found by capsuleers within all of these sites include valuable overseers effects, hundreds of festive ship skins, limited time cerebral accelerators, character apparel, special Sancha Nation combat boosters, Sancha Nation pirate implant sets, and rare faction modules.
Starting off, you can get some overseers effects. It can range from anywhere from first overseers effects all the way up to about 30th overseers effects. They have a large spread in their value. If you get lucky, you can get over 100 million ISK. If you get unlucky, you can get 100,000 ISK. And it all kind of depends on what site you're running to determine how lucky you can or cannot get. Again, lower sec sites are going to give more value. They are, however, 10 meters cubed in your cargo hold. So if you are flying a ship with not a lot of cargo hold, it is definitely something to be aware of, in that you will not be able to carry all of these, because every site that you complete, you get probably about 2 to 3 of them. So that is 20 to 30 meters cubed for every site. And if you're doing exploration, for instance, in a buzzard, they have quite a limited cargo capacity. So it's going to be a pretty hard ask for that ship. Unless you want to go ahead and dock in lots of stations and unload your cargo again and again and again. After that, you can also get skins. The skins I have been seeing is the Glacial Drift skins, which is pretty expected. Here is an example of a Drake Glacial Drift skin. Beautiful, beautiful. It's got a nice, lovely gradient pattern here. I think it looks a lot better after the new shaders changes that have come since last year. So you can get the Glacial Drift on a large variety of ships. It's probably the most common skin. You can also get Aurora Universalis skins, such as a Drake Aurora Universalis skin, which looks lovely in my opinion. It's got a lovely little effect here, a glorious gradient from purple to teal, and I really enjoy this set. So definitely good to see that I will be able to get a nice collection of them in this event. You can also get the livery skins for the various mining and industrial ships, such as the Bowhead. This is a Sancha industrial livery. Normally you get these skins from NPC hauler hunting. These are probably my least favorite skins of the event. I think they're generally kind of dull, but if you like that, you can definitely get them in this event as well. You can get boosters. You can get the typical event boosters that will increase your attributes, the cerebral accelerators. You got your basic, you got your potent, you got your expanded. But on top of that, you can get these neat boosters, which will affect you in various regards and seem to be quite good. I'm enjoying these ones. They do only last until February 8th, limited time boosters, but you might as well collect a good many and use them to supercharge your activities. After that, you can also get filaments for filamenting into all of these winter storm areas. They are named after the reindeer. For example, this is the Rudolph 10 low sec ice storm filament. So what this does is it will teleport you and 9 other individuals to a low sec ice storm center. And you can get them in either 1-man, 5-man, or 10-man varieties for all securities of space. So high sec, low sec, and null sec. You can also get some implants. This is going to be the Rupture set or the Nirvana set. So these are rare implants. I personally have a full set of high-grade Rapture implant sets, which reduce your capacitor charge time, which is very useful for like fax pilots or someone who uses a lot of capacitor. The only reason that I have this full high-grade set really is because last year I got a lot of these blueprint copies and I just made myself a whole set. But they have turned out to be quite expensive throughout the year. So if you're looking to make a lot of money in about 9 months, it might be worth your while to try and collect these blueprint copies. Again, they are pretty hard to sell though, because there are a lot of good alternatives for implant sets, but it's just something to keep out on the look for. New clothing items that you can get, they are the Albeda Affluence and the Roberto's Riches, and you can get them for men and women. And there are jackets and pants. I don't think the pants look like anything interesting. Generally, people don't care about pants. But this is the men's jacket, and this is the women's jacket. Ooh la la, if you want to look rich and fancy. And then the men's red jacket. I think that looks pretty nice. And the women's red jacket. And CCP does say that you can find these clothing items as a rare drop in all of the event sites. I don't know how much I believe that, but if you were looking for these, you don't need to specifically go anywhere. You should just be able to do a lot of the event sites, and eventually you should find one. Or you can always go to Jita and buy one from someone else who is luckier. Lastly, you can actually get Sancha ship blueprint copies. CCP didn't mention this, but I have seen them drop. So you can get the Nightmare for sure, and I can assume that you can also get the Succubus as blueprint copies by flying around these, the Phantasm. So that is the loot that you can expect to get. You can get them in various different quantities, depending on which site you're running, which we'll go over in the next section for the sites.
So let's talk about exploration sites, kind of my bread and butter here. So what we're going to do for you is I will showcase one of the event sites being ran, and I'm just going to kind of talk over it to get you all the points that you need. The first point is that they are a level 4 data site in all security bands of space, which means that you are going to be required to have at least 85 scan strength on your ship, which is decently high. This is a pretty challenging thing to scan, so do be aware and be sure that you're equipped to be able to actually scan them before you go out the door. High sec and null sec hacking boards are going to be the green core easy boards. So as far as like actually hacking the boards, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. You can really get away with basically anything. Even like a simple Tech 1 Heron should be able to get the job done without too many issues. In low sec, the cores do move up to the medium yellow difficulty. Again, it's not too difficult, but it's just kind of something to know before you're going in, that if you are having difficulty with those yellow cores in your standard gameplay, that you might want to bring a little bit of extra oomph, maybe a special hole, maybe another implant or rig to be able to successfully hack those. Speaking of hacking them, they do actually explode under the standard can rules, which means if you fail a hack twice, then the can will explode. It does no damage to you, but you don't get any of the loot and the site goes away. So that's kind of a little bit weird because most events don't have exploding cans. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. As far as loot, you can expect to get about 8 million in your high sec areas, maybe 10 to 15 in null sec, and then it jumps up to about 20 million in low sec per site. It's pretty good. There are also other goodies that you can get, and that loot is pretty much just distributed from what you can get, as we talked about loot before in the overview section. You are allowed to cloak everywhere on the site pretty much. Some of the previous event sites have made it difficult or impossible to cloak close to the can, but this seems to be a gank friendly event, so do be aware there could be cloaked ships right next to you if you are in a ship that is both expensive and easy to gank. You spawn about 15 kilometers away from the beacon, and so it is quite easy to get within that hacking range. A single pulse of a micro warp drive is what I use, but you could certainly use an afterburner. Heck, you don't really even need any kind of prop mod if you have some kind of strange fit that you might want to be running. Lastly, there is the very important talk about SIG surfing. So this is something that we've seen in the winter event last year. I don't think I've seen it in any other event, but what it is that the way that these signatures spawn is on a 20-ish minute timer. So say you have a system, for example. That system might have 3 sites, and those 3 sites spawn in that system 20 minutes after they were complete. So what I mean by SIG surfing is a technique that we used last winter, and it looks like it's going to be very useful this winter, is where you basically go to a system, hack all the sites, go to another system, hack those sites, and just keep traveling the systems, but also knowing when you want to go back around to your loop, because when you complete a site, you know exactly when it will spawn again, which will then allow you to get the quick jump on that scan and hopefully let you get to the site before any of your competitors. It's very good. I highly recommend getting used to it and implementing it in your adventures for this winter. Next up, let's talk about today's sponsor for the video. Well, they're not really a sponsor, but I thought I'd give them something anyways. We're talking about CCP. That's right, EVE Online creators. CCP is a wonderful, fun game. I have a lot of fun playing it, figuring out all of its intricacies. I am, in fact, an EVE partner. And basically what that means is that I create only the finest content in New Eden that I hope you are enjoying. If you would like to play EVE, consider signing up using the link down in the doobly-doo. You get 1 million free skill points, and I do get a little bit of a referral bonus, but really, it's for the 1 million skill points. They're very helpful. So if you are looking to play EVE, make sure you do that. And you can also win a scope skin right here, right now. So if you go ahead and comment something down below, I will be drawing a lucky winner in about a week's time to win one of the new Scope Syndication Stratios skins. So all you got to do is comment down below, and we'll say that's courtesy of our sponsor, CCP. Not actually a sponsor, but you know, might as well give it to them. Next up is the combat sites. So just like the exploration sites, I'm going to go ahead and let you see a video of me running one of the high-sec combat sites while I talk about it and give you all the juicy details. First of all, you are going to be fighting Sancha enemies in these sites. So they are shield tanked mostly. They do have a good bit of armor here. But they also fire EM and thermal lasers. However, they are a little bit extra bonused in that they will also fire kinetic and explosive missiles, but it is to a much lesser degree. So if you're looking to tank, make sure that you are primarily tanked in thermal and EM, and then to a lesser degree, don't completely forget about kinetic explosive. The enemies do some electronic warfare against you in the form of webs, newts, scrams, and disruptors. So do be aware that you are going to be locked down in these sites, especially in low sec. You are a prime gank target. So if you are looking to maybe make yourself less of a target, make sure that you take out those enemies quickly. The neutralizers are not really that powerful. Just be aware that they're there. Maybe put a little bit of extra capacitor in your ship, but it's nothing to really fear, I've found. And of course, webs, you're going to be slow. You're just going to have to deal with that. Make sure that you understand that. You are also fighting Sancha. So that means they are going to be quick. And so that means tracking is going to be a very important stat for you to make sure that you are good at. In the site, you do fight frigates, cruisers, some battle cruisers, and a battleship for the boss. Mostly frigates and cruisers, so make sure that you can actually hit those. Speaking of hitting, they do come anywhere between about 5k to 15k range. So you are looking at a pretty short range engagement here. And in the sites, there are 3 different kinds of sites: forward base, the transit site, and the muster point for high sec, null sec, and low sec respectively. And they have either 1, 2, or 3 waves. Again, low sec is actually the hardest kind of sites because that area of space is actually most difficult. They do spawn about 8 ships per wave, and again, it's a mix of frigates, cruisers, and battle cruisers. After those waves are dealt with, a boss will come. Boss is a Sancha battleship. He is quite powerful, quite fast, and does a lot of damage in all regards. But after killing him, you do get the site rewards, that being a bounty of either 5, 10, or 15 million, depending on the site. And then you also get a smattering of loot, which is roughly equivalent to the same amount as bounty. So you get an extra 5, 10, or 15 million. So these sites are decently worth it, depending on what else you do in the game. But at the end of the day, they're pretty fun, and really the event track is very good. So you do need to consider maybe just doing these event sites to fill up your event track to get those awesome Aurora Universalis skins. As for the whole choices in the combat site, I would recommend either a well-fit T2 or T3C, a decently fit battlecruiser, or an okay fit battleship. What I mean by that is that you're looking at probably a minimum of 250 million ISK investment, but of course more is better and will definitely help you get these sites done quicker and more safely. So in particular, some things that I have seen be quite effective is things like a Vagabond, a Loki, probably a Legion, any of the command ships. If you can fly a command ship, definitely those are going to be the best at doing these sites. However, they also are going to be quite expensive. Any of the battle cruisers, as long as you can use T2 guns and can equip them decently well or fly them decently well, they will definitely work. In the battleship core category, I've seen mostly Praxi being used, and you're going to be looking at things like rapid heavy missiles, drones could be good, or even smart bombs if you are maybe not running in high sec or are definitely being safe about when you're using your smart bombs in high security space. And that is because, again, most of the enemies are going to be these smaller hulled ships, such as frigates and cruisers. Something I do know is that they do actually hate drones. They really hate drones. So if you are considering bringing drones, make sure that you have really good management on them, or possibly a ship that has bonused drone health, because they really hate them. You should also be attacking, because again, these are Sancha units. You should be attacking them with EM preferably, basically throughout the entire site, with the one exception of if you can easily and quickly switch to explosive damage, it might be worth switching to that on the boss specifically. Everything else is small enough, doesn't really matter. Just stick with EM, it's easy and it works well. A few extra bits about the combat sites is that if you are in a larger ship, always consider warping in at 10 kilometers to the beacon or the site. This is just to ensure that you don't bump on the gate when you're getting there, which can just be a little bit frustrating, a little bit waste of your time. So if you can remember, just warp at 10, problem solved. These sites also do allow all ship types except capitals. So if you are trying to run a dreadnought in one of the regular sites, think again, because they're not allowed. Everything else, though, you're good to go. Speaking of dreads, let's talk about the dreadnought sites. So these are exclusive to low-sec and null-sec security space. They're called White Storm Anchorage sites. And they are a little bit interesting in that they only drop bounties. So they don't drop any loot. However, the bounties that they do drop are quite expensive, and I believe it depends a little bit on what the bounty risk modifier is going to be, that it actually starts to heavily affect what these are. And what I mean by a lot is that they seem to drop about 330 million ISK in bounties, and in order to run these sites, I believe There are 2 HA dreads and 2 anti-cap dreads, so you're going to need a decently sized fleet in order to take these down, with probably a mix of marauders and dreads. They are pretty hard, so I personally probably will not run any of these sites in the event. I wish I could give you a little bit more information about them. If you do have more information about them, please hit it down in the comments, get that information out, or, I guess keep it a secret if you're the one running it, Oh, hey there. You're still here? Wow, surprising. If you're liking this video, getting some quality content out of it, do hit that like, subscribe button. Consider hitting a comment down below with the comment question of the day coming at you, which is, which sites are you planning on doing the most of? Exploration, combat, or these dread sites? Speaking of the dread sites, do you like that they're in the event? Do you enjoy that CCP put dev time into making content for these very large ships, which not a lot of people are going to get to do? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, just want to let you guys know that our future plans for videos is secret techs of Eve. So this is like things that the game doesn't tell you how to do, but are very useful. If you have anything that you would like to see in that video, also hit it down in the comments below so we can make sure to include that in that next video. Moving right along, let's talk about the mining sites next. So again, something that I personally don't really plan to do anything about. I think most people don't plan to do the mining sites, but some information for you anyhow. They are called volatile ice fields. They are, of course, in all bands of space. Capsuleers go into these sites with very specific ships, which is Omega-only ships. A little bit of a weird choice on CCP part there. I wish they kind of give us an expert system to let alphas do this kind of content. But anyways, the ships that are allowed in these sites are expedition frigates, mining barges, exhumers, industrial ships, blockade runners, deep space transports, and the porpoise. So if you're not an Omega, you can't fly any of those ships, but assuming that you are an Omega, the main mining ships here are going to kind of be the exploration frigates, the mining barges, and probably the porpoise. But anyways, you go into the site, there is a orca kind of just sitting there waiting for you to go gather ice and deliver it to him. There's also a bunch of ice in a little belt around you. You go to the ice, you mine it, you get 7 units of it, you come back, you turn it in, you get a loot crate. You can also explode the ice chunks, and if you do, you have a chance of getting a extra little loot crate. Something to note is that belt rats can spawn in these sites. Not sure if it's a bug, not sure if it's intended, but technically it's possible for a dreadnought to spawn in your ice mining site. So if anyone sees that, let me know, because it would be pretty interesting to see. Another little pro tip for you is that you can actually drop a mobile tractor unit down by the orca, which means you can just harvest your ice, drop it, the mobile tractor unit will bring it in, and that can save you a lot of back and forth travel time. Do be aware though that people might explode your mobile tractor unit if you're in the more dangerous areas of space. Lastly, but not leastly, is the Abyssal Proving Grounds. There is 3 different Abyssal Proving Grounds that are going to be happening within the next few weeks. You got the 2v2 assault frigates from December 10th, which is now, until the December 14th. You have 1v1 Navy frigates on December 18th, and a 1-to-1 or a T1 cruiser and a T1 modules free-for-all from December 31st to January 4th. And lastly, there is a 1v1 battleship on January 8th. All these proving events will feature a special set of environmental effects that increase your afterburner speed by 100% and reduce heat damage suffered by overheating modules by 50%. So again, it kind of falls into that theme of Sancha, very fast afterburner ships, and the winter overheating modules bonus. So that's pretty cool. If you do like the Abyssal Proving Grounds, you're going to have a lovely next few weeks with a jam-packed schedule of cool, fun ship fights. And we've done it. We have covered the Winter Nexus 2021. I do want to give a huge thanks to everyone who watched this whole video, or even if you just watched part of it. Thank you so much for enjoying the content. Some special shout outs to people. A lot of research was being done, a lot of Twitch streams were watched. I want to go ahead and give a shout out thanks to Mad Cat Turin, who's a great streamer, Urschlog, who is a wonderful explorer, Rushlock, who is a shill explorer, still great, Nova Valarin. Those were probably the biggest 4 inspirations for the video, but it was definitely influenced by a lot of people over these past few days. And thanks to everyone that helped contribute to get this all together. And so we're done. If you want to watch more videos, you can watch them here. You can watch them here. It does help out. Hopefully you get a little bit of extra knowledge and have a great time. Hope you learned something, and let's get rich together, shall we?